What's good, fam? How you doing? Yo, we're gonna talk about descending chords right now. Before we actually talked about ascending chords, this was several videos ago, but I talked about how, you could use, a diminished seventh chord was very useful for, ascending chord progressions. All right. And, it's not, you don't put it everywhere, but there are just certain chords, and like in between the one chord and the two chord, you can, in between there, you can put a diminished seventh chord. So if we're in the key of C, chromatically, between the C and the D minor, you can, as a way to ascend, okay? And I just talked about how you can put it in between those chords that are like a whole step apart. So where the root is a whole step apart. Okay, so that's going up. All right, so now today we want to talk about going down. Okay, so I'm not being funny about that, but just descending, the chords going the opposite direction. Some would assume that it's cool to just put a diminished seventh chord descending, and I'm not mad at it, but I don't typically find that that's what is being used as far as, just the typical thing. Okay, so if we go to the sixth, so if we use the diminished seventh, let's just say, not bad. It's not bad. I don't typically hear that. Okay, it seems like it just works better tone wise. Now, for someone who's learning chords and this is their first time hearing it, they might think, oh yeah, that sounds fine. I mean, okay, well, but after you start listening to music for a decent amount of time, you start to play with other possibilities, and you understand why something else works better. Okay. Now, almost universally, the diminished seventh chord works well in between chords ascending. I mean, pretty much always, almost always, that's kind of what you would use. But going down, I don't know what I just said, ascending diminished seventh chords work in between chords going up, ascending. Descending, meaning going down. So it's a little different. It's not just one type of chord. There are like 2 to 3 types of chords that I feel like could go in between in different scenarios. It just depends. You don't typically see the full chord progression going all the way down to 1, from like 7 all the way the reverse way going down to 1, but sometimes you do. You may see like a series of 3 chords or whatever. So anyway, let's get back to it. Let's start to the 6th, which is what's this, A minor 7th? I'm just playing a different shape, same chord. Okay, same chord. So in this scenario, what do you call it? It's not a major flat 5, it's just a flat 5 chord. It's not a minor flat 5, just think flat 5. So think a major chord, but the 5th is flattened, but you wouldn't call it a major flat 5. I don't think. So let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, yep. So, okay, using this as a reference. So there's the shape, right? So here is the actual major chord. Okay, I did that wrong. Let me find the actual, here we go. So hopefully that was recorded. You could see how I replaced it. But here we go. All right. So here's the flat 5 chord. Here's the actual major chord. So right here, you can see where the here's the major shape. Here's the root. The D is the root right here. Okay. And so when you count the major scale going up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is where the fifth is right here. Okay. This is the root again. It's the D. The F sharp is actually the third. Okay. And the A is the fifth again. It's just, in a different place on the neck. And that's what makes up the shape of what it is. Okay. But we're going to flat the 5. In fact, this high A, we're not even going to worry about that. But just this one note, we're going to just flat it. And we're going to bring it over here. All right. So that's where this comes in. Okay. So it's a D. In this case, this is a D flat 5. That's it. D flat 5. Now, it's not going to be a D flat 5 that we're using in particular. I more so want you to memorize the shape, okay, of the chord. So now we're using A minor, but we're going to do it from the A string. Okay, we're going to do it from the A string. So that's how the string right here, the fifth string up, is the A string. So this shape corresponds to that, because the E string one is it's not confusing. This is just easier to explain. So let's say we're up, okay? We're up on the 12th fret playing A minor 7. That following chord going down, descending, would be the actual shape. How come when we be playing chords, we gotta end? Why do we do that? So yeah, so that's where this is useful. Now in this case, this is what is it? What's that? An A flat? It's an A flat. A flat flat 5. So. So that's the way you would walk down. So it sounds better to me. Now another shape is actually it's not like totally foreign, but if we were to continue down this walk down, this descend, and we're at the 5 right now. Okay, this is actually what G. Just making sure. So G. That next one would be an F sharp. Okay. So you don't necessarily go. The notes are moving around a certain way. It sounds like it's a little zigzaggy, This sounds more. This right here, I'm using the flat 5 shape, and I don't know if I like that. This sounds better. Then, so what shape is that? So in this scenario, that's what F sharp. That's a D major over F sharp. Yeah. So the shape looks like this. Yeah. Again, keep the shape in mind. That's not. I really just did that for the shape. So it's not an actual. It's not an actual A flat major over D. It's not that. So just keep that in mind. So it's just like, keep in mind you're kind of playing a major shape, but you gotta kind of go to the right fret to do that bass note, that descending bass note, to actually get to. All right. So the full progression is. I like that. So between the 3 and the 2, maybe we can do a flat 5 one there. Okay. Then the 2. I like that. So basically, wherever there's a minor or minor 7th chord, the descending chord would be the flat 5 chord. If it's a major chord, then the descending chord would be the more major sounding chord, but the bass note is kind of altered, in that certain way. You know what I'm saying? So here's the 5, which is G major. And now we're going to go to the, what is this again? A D over F sharp. Here's the F major. Here is E minor 7. Here is E flat 5. Because it's like, it keeps that note the same. In the E minor 7, it helps out. It helps that out a little bit, okay? And then let me move this. Yeah, so we got that. Then we go to the 2, which is a D minor 7. Since it's a minor 7, we're going to use, excuse me, my goodness. We're going to use the D flat 5. So going from here. Then we're able to resolve on the 1. So again. So it's just, now in some cases you may hear that 5, you may hear like a sus on that. You may hear a suspended chord where it's staying that that C is kind of staying the same, or the note on the 6, the 3 on the 6 minor 7 chord, that note stays constant through a few of the changes, like then you go down. Okay, then you move down. Then. So going from the 4, I don't like the augmented sound for that application. I don't really. Some people say that, descending, you use the augmented chord. I like it sometimes. It depends on where I'm going afterward, if I'm writing or whatever. So, it's something to think about. It's something to play with. You might like it, you might not like it. So what? Yeah, if you were to play the A here, the descending chord is a little more complicated, because now you're actually going to be playing something like as much as I like it, so you're going here, then then it's just the shape is a little funky. I'm like, man, shoot. Let's just. Oh yeah, another thing. So you could also, if you're on the 6, like say you're high up like this, you can use that major over the other shape. This one. You can use this shape as well. So sometimes it's interchangeable. It depends on what you're doing. Then, so that works too. As far as the shape, okay. So that, but if if you want to get fancy, then so. But you can do it more faster here. Okay. Those were the diminished sevenths walking up. So, yeah. I wonder if that made sense. Maybe I did that kind of fast. But yeah, there are ways that you can actually, there are like go-to chords that you can go to if you're, that you can resort to and utilize when you're doing like a long walk of a progression, not the staggered progressions that are just, kind of using fourths and fifths to walk down, which you could do that too. You can do that. But if you're going, well, you can slow it down by. So yeah, that's pretty much what I had to share. So I hope that was helpful. Hope it offered some perspective. Maybe this is a new chord for you, or maybe these are new chords for you. The couple of chords that I actually showed, I didn't show the augmented one, and I used the major chord to reference how to find the flat 5, so that you know where the flat 5 comes from. A minor flat 5 looks different, but the flat 5 chord, you're referencing the major chord that is actually coming from. Okay, so let me know if you have questions about that. Maybe I can, go deeper with that. Of course, I go into more explanation in my community, and that is soon to be released, very soon to be released. So I go into much more depth and detail with that. All right. So yeah, if you got questions, hit me up, drop a comment, let me know if it's helpful. And these are just little tidbits. Sometimes I do the songs, and sometimes we want to do, little deep dives to know how to reference certain chords. We don't want to just be playing shapes. We want to know where they actually come from. What is it stemming from? Are you referencing the major chord? Are you referencing a minor chord in order to get a minor flat 5? Are you referencing a major chord in order to understand what a dominant 7th chord is? You can reference a major chord, and a lot of times you can use them the same way, but add a little bit of dissonance or tension more so than a full major chord. Okay, so those are just some things to think about. Even like a diminished chord, if you want to know what a diminished 7th chord is, well, you sort of reference the diminished chord, so on and so forth. So you can go on and on and on. Anything that's extended past a dominant chord, you can find a 9 chord, an 11 chord, a 13 chord. You kind of reference the dominant 7th chord. So that's sort of how I look at it. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you on the next one. I love you. Thank you for coming. And yeah, I'll see you. All right. Peace.